Welcome to all. Here we are going to learn the petrochemical and eco-friendly fuel. So start the today's topic, that is octane number for a petrol. Here the what is the octane number? The quality of a petrol fuel is determined by its octane number. It is designated the percent of isooctane in a mixture of isooctane and what the N-heptane, whose knocking characteristic matches the particular sample of a petrol. Here there are the two examples are there, 2,2,4 trimethyl pentane, that is called as isooctane, and the second is what, N-heptane. Okay, here this 2,2,4 trimethyl pentane with no tendency to knock is assigned to have a octane number 100. Here what happened, the octane number having for this 2,2,4 trimethyl pentane is 100 and N-heptane is the 0. That means here the octane, higher the octane number of any fuel shows the anti-knocking property, and the fuel or hydrocarbon which has a lowest octane number, they shows a knocking property in a engine. Okay, here the octane number of a given sample of a gasoline is 42, means that the knocking property of a gasoline sample matches with the knocking property of a mixture of a 42% of the isooctane and 58% of the N-heptane. Here in 1933, by a general use of single cylinder test engine which allow a comparison of the anti-knock characteristics of the gasoline. They compare the anti-knock characteristic of the gasoline to be made in term of a octane number. Okay, what is the anti-knocking characteristics? That means noiseless characteristics of the gasoline in the engine. Whenever we add the fuel in the engine, whenever it combusts, that time what happen, some noise will appear due to that of the engine, due to that of the fuel or the gasoline. And here in 1933 they studied the anti-knocking characteristics of the gasoline according to what, the octane number. The octane number form in a scale ranging from what, 0 to 100. The higher the number of the octane, greater is the anti-knocking characteristic. That means what, that engine does not create any noise. That is called as anti-knocking characteristics. It depend on what, the octane number. Higher the octane number, higher will be anti-knocking characteristics. In 1939 then the second and the less severe test procedure using the same test engine was developed, and result obtained by this test were also expressed in a octane number. Here the octane number are obtained by two test procedure. Those obtained by the first method are called as a motor octane number. This is the indicative of the high speed performance. And second one, that is those obtained by a second method called research octane method. This is a normal road performance. Here the 2,2,4 trimethyl pentane, which is a branched compound, and due to that branching, here this is a branch compound, and that's why as the branching increases, their octane number also increases. And here the N-heptane is a long chain compound, and that's why here their octane number is decreases, and that's why due to their long chain, here their knocking property also increases. Okay, here what affect the number of octane? Here the octane number decreases with increase in the carbon chain length. As the carbon chain increases, octane number decreases, and that's why their knocking property or noise creation of the noise in the engine is going to increase. The normal paraffin have the low octane number, and this becomes lower as the molecular weight decreases. Here the octane number increases with a carbon chain branching. Example is isoparaffin have the higher octane number than the corresponding normal paraffin. Here next is what, why do we care of the octane, why we study the octane number? Because the octane rating measure the fuel ability to resist the spontaneous ignition. So that means it resists the spontaneous ignition, and that's why here they resist the knocking of the engine. So the higher octane rating means that your car will burn slowly. Higher the octane number, that means the car burn slowly. In addition that every single engine has a specific octane number, and then it used a lower number, the engine can be damaged for a short term. As the octane number is lower, that means your engine can be damaged for a short term. Next is what, the methods for the octane rating. There are the three methods of the octane rating. First is research octane method number, second is the octane motor octane number, and the third one, that is what, the anti-knock index. First we learn that is research octane number. It is commonly used octane number, and it is determined by what, the burning fuel in a test engine under the control condition and variable compress ratio, and then the results are compared with the mixture of isooctane and the heptane. Why? Because then heptane having octane number 0 and isooctane having octane number 100. We measure their comparison, or we compare it in between these two compound, that is isooctane and the heptane. Next is what, and then we can find out the octane rating of given fuel. Next is motor octane number. Here this procedure also similar to that of the research octane number, but with a preheated fuel mixture. Here we use the preheated fuel mixture with a high speed. Here we use the speed of 900 rpm instead of 600 rpm. In case of research octane number, we use the speed 600 rpm, and in case of motor octane number, we use the speed 900 rpm. And here we burn the fuel using a preheated fuel mixture. Depending on the composition of the fuel, the MON of a modern gasoline will be 8 to 10 point lower than the RON. The MON having the 10 to 8 to 10 point lower than the RON. RON value is the high than the MON. Okay. Next is what, sometimes the average of MON and the RON is what, the anti-knock index. What is the anti-knock index? It is the average of what, MON and the RON. It's specified in some location. This is also known as a road octane number. This is also known as what, road octane number, or the pump octane number. Let's learn what is the anti-knocking additives or the number. Here the anti-knocking additives are the substances which reduce the tendency of a fuel to auto-ignite and so increase the octane number. The small amount of lead compound have been used as economical and effective anti-knock additives. Examples are the tetramethyl lead. Here there are some examples of a fuel which shows the RON value, MON value, and AKI value. AKI, that means it is the average of what, RON and the MON. Here the methyl hexane which having RON value is 44, then MON value is 46, and the average of that in AKI is 45.2. In case of N-butanol, this RON value is what 92, MON value is 71, and their average is what 81.5. That is called as what anti-knock index, or what R plus M by 2. Okay, N butane, which has a value RON is a 94, MON is a 90.1, and their average is what 92. Iso-octane, which having RON value 100, MON value 100, and that's why their average is also what 100. This is the examples of some fuel which having a different octane number. Let's we learn the second, that is the cetane rating. Here, the suitability of a diesel fuel is determined by the cetane number. What is the cetane number? Cetane number is a percentage of a hexadecane in a mixture of hexadecane and the 2-methyl naphthalene, which has the same ignition characteristics as the diesel fuel under the test. Okay, here this hexadecane or the cetane having value cetane number is 100, and in case of methyl naphthalene which having a cetane value is 0. That means the cetane rating is totally opposite to the octane rating. In case of cetane rating, the long chain compound having a highest cetane number, and the branch compound having a lowest, that is a 0 cetane number. Here, the cetane number of a diesel is referred to the assay with which the fuel ignite. Here we study this cetane number according to what the ignition of the fuel. The best diesel fuel is that which ignite readily and burn steadily and rapidly. What is the good cetane number? That is the diesel which is, or the fuel which ignite readily and burn steadily and rapidly. The cetane number is indicator of what combustion speed of the diesel fuel. It is and the inverse of the similar octane rating. It is the inverse of what octane rating. The CN is an important factor in determining a quality of the diesel fuel, but not only one. Other measurement of the diesel's quality includes the energy content, density, lubricity, co-flow properties, and sulfur content. What is the cetane number? It is the inverse function of the fuel ignition delay and the time period between the start of injection and the first identifiable pressure increase during the combustion of the fuel. Okay, here this lower the cetane number, there is a more possibility of fuel to knock, and higher the cetane number which has a higher possibility to anti-knock. How to measure it? Here the N-cetane, which is a normal paraffin which is extended to ignite easily. N-cetane, or a long chain compound which has a capacity to ignite easily, and that's why they have a higher cetane number, that is 100. And alpha methyl naphthalene, which is a ring compound, and that's why they have a low tendency to spontaneous ignition, and that's why their cetane value is 0. And we measure the cetane value by comparison with the mixture of what N-cetane and what the alpha methyl naphthalene. Here there are some examples of the cetane number and their structures. First, the methyl palmitate. Here is having the higher cetane value because this is a long chain compound. Here below to that, there is a branching takes place in a methyl linolate, this compound. That's why they have a lower cetane value. That means there has a low or this is a knocking compound. Next is what? The flash point. What is the flash point? The flash point of a volatile material is the lowest temperature at which it can vaporized and flammable material to form an ignitable mixture in air. That means the flash point indicates the presence of a highly volatile and flammable material in a relatively non-volatile and non-flammable material. The measuring of flash point requires the ignition sources. At the flash point, the vapor may ceases to burn when the ignition sources is removed. The liquid which have the flash point less than 37.8 or 60.8 degrees Celsius, depending on the standard that is used, are called as a flammable, whereas the liquid having a flash point above that temperature are called as a combustible compound. Okay, these are some examples of the fuel that have a different flash point. Here the ethanol which having a 16.6 degree Celsius flash point, gasoline or the petrol having the flash point minus 43 degree Celsius, diesel having 52 degree Celsius flash point, jet fuel having a 38 degree Celsius flash point, kerosene which having a about 38 to 72 degree Celsius flash point, vegetable oil with having a flash point 327 degrees Celsius, etc. This is about what? The octane number, cetane number and the flash point. Thank you very much for watching this lecture. Must watch this lecture and comment on writing your number and also your name. Please subscribe this channel for getting a new videos related to this chapter. Thank you very much.